Ever wonder why people are leery of white vans? This case is the reason. Men who tortured, raped, and killed women in the back of their white van. This is the heinous story of the Toolbox Killers. Hey guys, I'm Kendra Sommer, and welcome to True Crime Commute. True crime that's great for your drive to work, school, or wherever you're headed. In 1979, the world was a different place. People were more trusting, guards were down, and hitchhiking was the norm, especially in California around the beach scene. In 1979, through their 5-month killing spree, Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris were the Toolbox Killers. They gleaned enjoyment out of killing women in the back of their '77 GMC van. The pair would head to the beach like Redondo, Hermosa, take pictures of young women, then head to the gym, take more pictures of women, and follow those ladies home. The Toolbox Killers would go on to kill 5 women. They would tape record the torture, rape, and killing of these victims. Police would later find these tapes in the back of the van, and they say that anyone who's listened to these ends up having disturbing thoughts and mental problems.
When his tape recording of one murder was played in court, people rushed outside and vomited.
Prosecutor Stephen Kay, who rose to fame after prosecuting Charlie Manson and the family, said that it reaches in and pulls out your insides. The screams are ungodly. The audio recording was so terrible when medical students heard it, they were traumatized. Bittaker and Norris met in 1977 when they both were incarcerated. They quickly bonded over misogyny and sexual violence. The first victim was Lucinda Lynn Schaefer. The pair spotted her, they offered her a ride, and then she refused. They offered her marijuana, she refuses. So they come up with a plan to follow her and then get ahead of her route. So Bittaker's at the wheel driving. Norris is going to pretend he's working on the van door. It was a sliding van door, and then grab her when she walks by. So she walks by, Norris is able to grab her and then pull her into the van, and they speed off. The pair took her deep into the mountains where they raped her and then attempted to strangle her. Norris couldn't do it. He ended up vomiting and his false teeth came out. So Bittaker ended up taking the lead. He couldn't do it as well, so he ended up getting a coat hanger and then putting it around her neck and adding a vice grip. The next victim, Andrea Hall, the pair were searching for their next victim. They were cruising the Pacific Coast Highway, and then they spotted 18-year-old Andrea Hall. So Hall was hitchhiking, and just as Bittaker and Norris were getting ready to approach her, she gets in a different vehicle. These two end up following her in the van, and as she gets out of the other car, they offer her a cool beverage. She then comes over to claim that beverage, and she gets in the van. Norris is hiding in the back, and as soon as she gets in, he grabs her, bounds her hands with duct tape, and gags her. They then drive to the San Gabriel Mountains, and they rape her 3 times. While they're doing that, they thought that they saw another vehicle's headlights, so they end up going deeper into the mountains. Then the pair took suggestive photos of Hall, and Bittaker asked her why he shouldn't kill her. To give him a reason, she gave him many reasons and begged for her life. Then he put an ice pick in her ear and pushed it further into her brain. Bittaker turned her body over, picked up another ice pick, put it into her ear, and then stomped on it until the handle fell off. They have never recovered her remains. Next, the pair heads to Redondo Beach, where they see Jackie Gilliam, 15, and Leah Lamp, 13, at a bus stop. The girls had been hitchhiking on the Pacific Coast Highway before the Toolbox Killers picked them up. Once they get in the van, they notice that the van is driving away from the Pacific Coast Highway and towards the San Gabriel Mountain Pass. Leah Lamp attempts to escape the van. She tries to open the sliding van door. Norris sees this. He hits her in the head, and she goes unconscious. But then she regains consciousness and attempts to escape again via the van door. Norris sees this again and ends up duct taping her hands together. Bittaker then records them raping and torturing Jackie Gilliam. He then asks the girls to pretend to be his cousin while having sexual relations with him. This cruelty continued for several days. They ripped off Gilliam's nipple, then they put an ice pick in her chest, and then they put 2 ice picks in both ears and strangled her. Now keep in mind, this was considered nice by the Toolbox Killers because they said that she behaved, so they wanted to make her death quick. Lamp was hit over the head with a sledgehammer and then strangled, and then both of their bodies were thrown over a very steep cliff. The pair's final victim, 16-year-old Lynette Ledford. Now, police have said that she took a ride from them because she recognized Bittaker because Bittaker would frequent the McDonald's where she worked. Apparently, Bittaker had asked Lynette out on a date. She rejected him. This only added fuel to the fire. He started making fun of her, mocking her, slapping her. Bittaker then starts recording the attack on tape. He then beats her and starts striking her with a sledgehammer and then torturing her with pliers. Norris switches places with Bittaker and starts striking Ledford with the sledgehammer and ends up breaking her elbow.
They touched Miss Ledford on the breast with cold metal pliers. And if you listen to the tape, you'll hear those pliers being replaced in a toolbox a few seconds later.
Oh, what did you touch her on the breast for with a pair of pliers?
To shock her with the cold metal.
So now we're going to talk about the downfall of the Toolbox Killers. In the fall of '79, Norris reconnects with a prison friend, Joseph Jackson. So Norris tells Jackson what he and Bittaker have been up to for the last 5 months. He details in length what they did to Lynette Ledford. Norris shared that in addition to the 5 murders, there had also been 3 incidents of abductions where the women had either escaped or been released. So, like any normal person, this guy was disgusted by this intel. He ends up going to the LAPD and reporting this. The Hermosa Beach detectives investigated Jackson's claim, and the dates that he was providing did match the dates of missing women and also dates of abductions. Jackson said that Norris told him of an incident where a woman was maced, dragged into the van, and then raped, and the description of the 2 men matched her ID. The woman who had been attacked, Robin Robeck, had been maced in the face and dragged into the van and raped by 2 men, Caucasian in their 30s. Police showed Robin mugshots of Bittaker and Norris, and she was able to positively ID them. On November 20th, 1979, Norris was arrested on a parole violation, and Bittaker was arrested on the rape of Robin Robeck. Inside the van, police found sledgehammer, a bag full of weights, tape recordings, and items from the victims. Lynette Ledford's mother ID'd her daughter's voice on the tape. Inside Bittaker's Burbank, California motel room, police found 7 bottles of acid material, and they would later find out that they had planned to use this on their next victim. In Norris's apartment, police found over 500 photos of teenage girls and women. In 1981, Bittaker was sentenced to death and ended up dying in 2019 of natural causes while waiting on California's death row. Norris was sentenced to 45 years to life in prison. He ended up dying of natural causes in 2020. The Toolbox Killers tapes are in the possession of the FBI. They're used in a part of training where they desensitize FBI trainees. Thanks for watching this episode of True Crime Commute. We'll see you on the next one. And if you have a case suggestion for us, make sure to send an email here. See you guys.